In this video, I will show you how you can use your thumbnail drawing to create a full-scale negative space drawing. The materials that you need are different types of erasers, your 6B, 4B, 2B, and HB pencils. Make sure to have all your pencils sharpened with X-Acto knife and ready by your side. It's going to be so much helpful if you have all of them prepared and all set to go. Sharpening your pencils with X-Acto knives help you produce longer leads, and it becomes much easier when it comes to shading. So first, draw a big frame inside your paper. The ratio of your frame should correspond with your thumbnail drawing. And use the overhand grip, and using the softest lead you have. I'm using a 4B. You can also use 6B, which is very soft. Could be slightly darker, but it helps you to produce softer line, which is a lot easier to erase. So the softer type leads are more appropriate for your initial layers. Use light gesture drawing to quickly place big structural mapping lines. You can use a combination of undulating and straight lines. Treat this as a blind contour drawing, so spend a lot of time looking at your subject matter and quickly jot down the information very lightly on the paper. The trick that I just showed you is using your pencil as a measurement tool. So I'm using my pencil with one eye closed and hold it, reach out with your arm and hold it, place it in front of your subject matter and measure the angle of different lines. You can also select different points on your subject and take the measurement of angle. What I mean by measurement of angle is what is the slope of the line like. So you can compare this to a shorthand of the clock. So this will be similar to 4 o'clock. Remember that, and then just make sure that the line that you've drawn on the drawing corresponds with the measurement that you took with your pencil. So I'm taking different measurements, creating different points on the subject and taking measurements of the angles and comparing that to my drawing. And as you do this, you might find something that you've drawn that is off angle. So don't be afraid to use the eraser and make corrections as you go. I'm still keeping my lines loose and very light in this stage because this is my first layer. As I mentioned in the previous video, it's also a lot easier if you focus on bigger areas first. So get the big negative space down first and then start adding details later on. So I'm continuing to make points, different points on my subject matter, and then using a lot of vertical and horizontal lines to find cross sections, and also using the pencil to compare different ratios. So I've measured from the bottom of the cat to the top of the ear and using that measurement, comparing that to the height of the roller in the back. It was a little smaller than 1:1 ratio, so I've made that adjustment. The more structural lines and mapping lines you make on your initial layer, the more accurate the placement of your subject matters will be on your drawing. So please spend a lot of time doing this process. Create a lot of tick marks, take a lot of angle measurements as well as ratio measurements. You can do this all with your pencil. Okay, the tool that I'm showing you right now is the pencil type eraser. It's called the Perfection Eraser. You can sharpen this with handheld sharpener or with X-Acto knife. Both will work. The details of the dried flower leaves are super clustered and hard to see, so I'm doing this strategy where I'm filling in the negative space with soft 4B pencil first, and then erasing the details of positive form, the small baby breath flower leaves, with the Perfection Eraser, and then taking the HB pencil, which is smaller and more precise. I'm redefining the outer edge of the small positive form. Here I'm taking a similar approach where I'm creating a big sections of negative spaces in between the dried leaves, shading that in with a 4B pencil, which is soft and easy to erase, and then going back in with my Perfection Eraser to erase the positive form, and then going back in with a harder type lead such as 2B and HB to redefine the edges again. Also, whenever you're defining edges, instead of trying to draw a perfect curve from the beginning, you can use short, small strokes and build them together to draw a long line. Same thing with shading. You could use long strokes to do the initial shading, but you're also welcome to combine the smaller short strokes together to build a big plane of shading. I'm using my 6B and 4B pencils to shade in the big negative spaces first. And when I'm doing the shading of big sections, the overhand grip could be helpful as well. When you do the overhand grip method, you need more space in between your drawing and yourself. So if you're working on a desk, feel free to stand up when you're doing this. If you have an easel at home, it could be also helpful to work on an easel. Okay, now I'm back to the tripod grip. It helps me to give more control to my lines and shading. I'm also using mostly 2B pencil to give more clarity to the edges and my shading. The reason why smaller B lead pencils, the B lead pencils with smaller numbers are better for the latter layers is because the lead is harder, so it produces more precise lines, and it also helps the lead to penetrate into the smaller grains of the paper. So what it does is it solidifies the shading, and it helps you to produce a more cleaner lines. So I'm shading in my second layer of value using the 2B pencil. When you're cross-hatching, think about the direction of your lines. So right now my lines are mostly going upward in the left half, and then it's slightly going downward in the right half, kind of creating this half circle kind of light appearance around the focal point of my drawing. I want the energy to be more concentrated in the center where all the objects are clustered, so I'm layering more values around my center forms. So still using my 2B pencil, I'm creating more and more layers. This is the kneaded eraser, my favorite type of eraser. Wherever you want to deduct value but still maintain your shading, you can use your kneaded eraser and just gently tap on it. Just press on it instead of rubbing on it. You can just press, and it lifts off value without erasing the marks that you made. I also want to emphasize that erasers are excellent drawing tools. So instead of thinking of erasers as a tool that erases your mistake, think of it as a tool that you can use to bring out information in the positive form. Okay, this is another strategy. You can use the edge of your computer paper and then erase on top, so you get this more clean edge. Okay, feel free to add your own voice to this project. Although I want most of the information in the positive space to be not drawn in, think of a way you can use lines to add your voice to this piece. So for my case, I wanted to emphasize the quality of the ruler, so I went ahead and divided it into 12 lines and then started filling in the lines, just so that the viewer knows it's a ruler. And I'm also adding a little bit of cast shadow underneath the ruler, so the ruler pops forward into the viewer's plane. So what I'm trying to do is bring us a little bit more attention to the focal point objects, this group of clustered objects in the center, without adding too much detail to the positive form. So I'm selecting just right amount of detail that I want to add, mostly using lines. And then I'll show you a little bit of preview of the next lesson that I will share in the next video. So I will be doing cross contour drawing in the cat model. Cross contour is the line that reflects the movement of your eyes in and around what you see. It describes the form and volume. So very similar to the blind contour drawing in that you're activating your sense of touch and sight as you see the object, but you're using lines to describe the form and volume in and around your objects. So what I like to describe this is imagine you're using your index finger and you're touching the subject matter with your index finger as you're tracing it with your eyes, and see how that the lines that you trace in and around the object will look like. So it's going to follow the curve of the form, and these lines will also help the viewer understand the structure of the form better. So I will discuss more in detail about the cross contour drawing in the following video, but for now, just enjoy seeing this process. These lines can go in vertical direction as well as horizontal direction. It can also jump from one location to the another. So there is no certain rule to this process. Okay, so this is the final product. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoy this project. Thank you for watching.